Okay, we continue reading Bhagavad Gita as it is. Now we're reading page 16. Okay, of Bhagavad Gita. So I will start. The English word. Let's give our obeisances to the Absolute Truth before we begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, and now also let's give our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Guravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavas Paschatya Deshitarine. Okay, let's this reading be our offering to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. Okay, so let us begin. The English word religion is a little different from Sanātana Dharma. Religion conveys the idea of faith, and faith may change. One may have faith in a particular process, and he may change his faith and adopt another. But Sanātana Dharma refers to that activity which cannot be changed. So we see the difference here that Sanātana Dharma is different from religion because Sanātana Dharma cannot be changed. Okay. Now we have some examples. For instance, the liquidity cannot be taken from water, nor can heat be taken from fire. Similarly, the eternal function of the eternal living entity cannot be taken from the living entity. Sanatana Dharma is eternal, integral with the living entity. Okay, so this is the quality of living entity. Okay, Sanatana Dharma. When we speak of Sanatana Dharma, therefore, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sripada Ramunacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. So Sanatana Dharma is eternal. Okay, Sanatana Dharma speaks about our eternal quality, that we are spiritual, while religion can change, right, from population to population. It may depend on different things and may have particular processes. Sanatana Dharma doesn't change. So this is the difference between religion and spirituality. Okay, do you understand? Yes, it's clear. Okay, Sanatana. Okay, let's continue. That which has neither end nor beginning must not be sectarian. So it cannot be sectarian because it's eternal, for it cannot be limited by any boundaries. And again, spiritual world is unlimited, spiritual nature is unlimited. It has no boundaries. For those belonging to some sectarian faith will wrongly consider that Sanatana Dharma is also sectarian, but if we go deeply into the matter, and consider it in the light of modern science, it is possible for us to see that Sanatana Dharma is the business of all people of the world. So, which means that spiritual practice, acting as on the spiritual platform, is the business of all people in the world because by nature we are all spiritual. And this is our Sanatana Dharma. Nay, of all the living entities of the universe. So basically, all of the living entities of the universe, they're all spiritual. Okay, and their Sanatana Dharma is to act on that platform. All right, so let's continue. Next paragraph, please.
Non-Sanatana religious faith may have some beginning in the annals of human history, but there is no beginning to the history of Sanatana Dharma because it remains eternally with the living entities.
And how can we also confirm it? The living entity, why Sanatana Dharma is eternal? Why do you think is it eternal?
Because like of all the generations of people, like they all experience that spiritual connection.
So if religion is not eternal, right? It has the beginning. Basically, it was born. Why Sanatana Dharma is eternal? Any guesses?
Is it because like we're born with the sense of spirit, like in our Heart.
By nature, we are who? Who are we by nature?
We're spirit souls.
Exactly. So can the spirit soul be born or die? Can spirit soul get born or die? No. Yeah, so the spirit soul doesn't get born and she doesn't like the spirit soul doesn't die. Okay? It's immortal. In other words, spirit soul is eternal. Therefore, the nature of the spirit soul is also eternal. So Sanatana Dharma is eternal because the living entity is eternal. Okay? Let's continue.
Insofar as the living entities are concerned, the authoritative sastras state that the living entity has neither birth nor death.
Exactly. So this is what we have just discussed. What are the authoritative shastras? How do you understand this?
Is it like the people who study Krishna, like
So
devotees?
shastras are the Bhagavad Gita is the shastra. Okay. So shastras are Srimad Bhagavatam. It's authorized books of wisdom and knowledge, which was approved both academically on different levels. Okay. And they're authoritative because they represent authority to us. It's an authoritative knowledge, right? And we refer to it through the time and through the generations. And again, it's not limited by time, by the age, because even Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago, and we still refer to it, which means that the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is eternal. Okay, it's an eternal wisdom. And if you compare it with other scientific research, right, it comes and goes. But authoritative shastras, they contain permanent knowledge, eternal knowledge. Okay, let's continue.
He is eternal and indestructible, and he continues to live after the
Ah,
destruction of his.
we didn't read
Oh,
here in the
sorry.
in the
In
Gita.
the Gita, it is stated that the living entity is never born and he never dies. He is eternal and indestructible, and he continues to live after the destruction of his temporary material body. In reference to the concept of Sanātana Dharma, we must try to understand the concept of religion from the Sanskrit root meaning of the word. Dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. We conclude that there is heat and light along with the fire. Without heat and light, there is no meaning to the word fire.
So
Similar,
yeah, let's quickly discuss that we understand it properly, right? So there is fire, and what is the Sanatana Dharma of the fire?
is the heat and the light.
Exactly. So Sanatana Dharma, as it said here, refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. So fire cannot exist without light and heat, or heat and light, right? If there is heat and light, it means that there is fire, basically. Okay? Yeah. So Sanatana Dharma of the fire is heat and light. Okay?
Similarly, we must discover the essential part of the living being, that part which is his constant companion. That constant companion is his eternal quality, and that eternal quality is his eternal religion.
So the eternal quality of the living entity is his eternal religion. Okay? And that eternal religion is our Sanatana Dharma.
Okay.
So if we do the analogy with the fire, right? Fire does not exist without heat and light. Then the living entity, what is Sanatana Dharma of the living entity?
Without the light and fire, it's not eternal.
No, fire is not fire without heat and light.
Yeah.
And so heat and light is the Sanatana Dharma of the fire. That's the nature of the fire, right? That's eternal religion of the fire. Now, if we are talking about living entity, so what is Sanatana Dharma of the living entity? Living entity
is the
cannot
constant companion.
Cannot be considered living entity if it doesn't have what? So what is the
Oh,
Sanatana Dharma, yeah, of the living entity?
the eternal religion.
what is that eternal religion? What is that thing, as it says here? I'll show you. Something dharma refers to that which is constantly existing with a particular object. What is constantly existing with a spirit soul?
Krishna?
Yeah, but it's not the quality of the spirit soul. What is the symptom?
Like that seek for religion?
Spiritual consciousness.
Okay.
So our consciousness is always spiritual. So we cannot, if there is consciousness, there is a living entity. Okay? If there is living entity, it means there is consciousness. Like take a tree, it lives,
Yeah.
right? It's alive. It means there is consciousness. Okay? If there is consciousness, how do we know that there is consciousness? Because it grows. It has the symptoms. It grows, it takes water, it eats, it purifies the air, it does its dharma, right? So there is material dharma. Basically, the tree is, all living entities are in service. Everyone. Okay? There is no living entity that doesn't serve the Lord.
Okay.
Water purifies, right? The trees purify the air, create oxygen, and the animals serve each other as food and etc. Right? So all of them, like all living entities, they are in service. But the Sanātana dharma of any living entity is consciousness. Okay? Even if you get a small insect, there is a soul inside which has consciousness. Okay. Next paragraph, please.
Right. When Sanātana Gosvāmī asked Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu about the svarūpa of every living being, the Lord replied that the svarūpa, or constitutional position, of the living being is the rendering of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay, so svarūpa in Sanskrit, what is it again? It is a constitutional position, right, of a living entity. So when Sanātana Gosvāmī asked Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu about the svarūpa of every living entity, or in other words, the constitutional position of the living entity, and the answer is the rendering of the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, so our constitutional position is to render the service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So basically, not only ours as human beings, but of all living entities.
Okay.
Okay.
If we analyze this statement of Lord Chaitanya's, we can easily see that every living being is constantly engaged in rendering service to another living being. A living being serves other living beings in various capacities. By doing so, the living entity enjoys life. The lower animals serve human beings as servants serve their masters. A serves B master, B serves C master, and C serves D master, and so on.
So an important point here, that by doing so, in other words, by serving, the living entity enjoys life. So if we want to enjoy life, we need to be in service, because this is the principle of the whole existence, universal in both spiritual and material worlds. Doesn't matter. The living entities can enjoy life only by doing service. Okay, because it's our Sanātana dharma, meaning that we are by our nature. So when we are living in accordance with our nature, we live naturally, right? And we are naturally happy. Artificial happiness is when we're not in service and we're trying to satisfy ourselves, but it's so hard and we're trying to do it artificially and it's not working for us. Okay. So this is a very important point here. And another thing that we have already discussed, that every living entity is constantly engaged in rendering service to another living being. Let's give some examples of this. Like we have birds, we have like animals, right? We have insects, we have trees, flowers, we have human beings. So how these all living beings serve each other?
Like, for example, the trees give us oxygen, give humans and animals oxygen.
Yeah. And some trees give us fruits, right?
Yeah.
Okay. They also purify the air and give us shade, like shadow.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. What else?
Gives us like fire, right? Because like
Yeah. Yes. So we use the wood as fire. Mm-hmm.
mhm,
We also can use it in construction.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
Okay, let's say like what how animals serve each other and
well, like
human beings
they
as
have
well.
like a food cycle, so they all eat from one
E-
another.
Exactly. So they survive. Yeah. So they basically sacrifice their body, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they feed each other through
Yeah.
their body. Yeah. So that's their survival. And how else? Like there are animals that also do what? They serve people, right?
Yeah. When they eat meat.
Like in labor, they serve in labor,
Yeah.
such as like they can be used in construction, they serve as like transportation,
Yeah.
like horses, for example, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Also, cows give us milk.
Yeah.
They actually feed the whole world. Yeah. So all living entities feed each other. Like take fish. What do they do?
Like the sharks and stuff eat the fish, dolphins.
Yeah, so they eat each other, that's one thing, but they also purify the water.
Hmm.
Yeah, they keep the water clean. Yeah. So this is some examples. Of course, scientists can give us more examples, but these are some simple examples how the living entities can serve each other. And then the human, right? Human beings, they are above all. Therefore, they need to serve all of the levels of the living entities and each other and the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay. So because the more developed living entities, they serve those who are like below them.
Okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's finish this paragraph.
Under, under these circumstances, we can see that one friend serves another. The mother serves the son, the wife serves the husband serves the wife, and so on. If we go on searching in the spirit, it will be seen that there is no exception in the society of living beings to the activity of service.
So the service is the basis of any relationship. Okay. If we call any role, actually any roles that exist, they are based on the service. Can you call a person a teacher if he is not providing that service as a teacher? We cannot call the person as a teacher, right? Or like the word responsibility comes actually from the service. If I'm a daughter, I have my responsibility as a daughter. If I'm a mother, I have my responsibilities as a mother. All of the responsibilities mean service. And
Okay.
that's the exchange that we have with other people, okay, within our roles and responsibilities. So every activity is service when it is done according to the guidance of the Lord, okay? And that is called dharma. This is how it dharma. So when we say I'm performing my responsibilities, right, and I'm doing it as good as I can, this is dharma. And
Yeah.
when I'm saying that we are performing our responsibilities, not only on the level of the role, right, but also to satisfy the Lord, it becomes spiritual service, devotional service. And this is above karma. This is what liberates us from karma. Okay, so we can do the same activity, but for the satisfaction of the Lord. And then you become blessed. Basically, you get the blessings from the Lord and you become liberated from the karmic um, reactions, which can be good and bad. Okay, let's continue. Uh-huh.
The politician presents his manifesto for the public to convince them of his capacity for service. The voters therefore give the politician their valuable votes, thinking that he will render valuable services to society.
Yeah, so
The
when we choose leaders, right, we choose them because we believe that they can render the service, good quality service to
Mhm.
the society.
Yeah. The shopkeeper serves the customers, and the artisan serves the capital capitalist. The capitalist serves the family, and the family serves the state in the terms of the eternal capacity of the eternal living being. In the way we see that no living being is exempt from rendering service to other living beings, and therefore we can safely conclude that service is the constant companion of the living being, and that the rendering of service is the internal religion of the living being.
So the eternal religion, when we speak about the eternal religion, is is the rendering of the service.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when we're in service, it means that we are acting according to our constitutional position, and this is the only way for us to be happy. And now let's quickly discuss why is it the only way to be happy. Imagine that we are engaged in relationships without rendering service.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a wife, but I'm not performing any service as a wife. If I'm a mother, I'm not functioning as a mother. If I'm a daughter, I'm not acting as a daughter. If I'm a professional, I don't know, a leader, right? Or like supervisor or boss, and I'm not doing it. I'm not protecting my employees, I'm not educating them, and etc. So what's gonna happen? We are
I
not
think that no one will be happy because you're not showing your service, so you can't form like that connection and you can't fulfill your responsibility.
how will it affect relationships?
It will have like a negative impact because it shows you don't care about the other person.
Exactly. It shows lack of care. And what happens with the relationships when there is no care?
You argue, you fight, and it couldn't, maybe it'll end.
Exactly. And the relationship ends with that. It dies basically.
Yeah.
So the basis of the relationship is service, is to act within your role according, like fulfill your responsibilities with the best dedication. And the best way is to do it to satisfy the Lord. Okay. And that's going to make not only us happy, but those whom we serve. And if we do it towards each other,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be any problems in our society because all of the problems that we have is because of lack of service. Okay, if the sun doesn't go up and doesn't give the sunlight, right, what's going to happen to us? There's no electricity, there's no oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
no one will survive,
Yeah.
and etc. Right? So yeah, we're going to finish now. Let's conclude what you've learned today. What are you
I
taking with you?
I
Mhm.
learned that there's a lot of like selfish people in the world who don't care about helping others, and I think that explains why they're not happy, because as we learned, service is like the main reason why we're happy, because helping others will give us joy and relationships and bonds with one another, and social connection is like one of the main parts of happiness.
Yes, so this is so amazing. Now I would like to ask you a question. What is the difference between helping and doing service, rendering service?
I think that helping could be maybe like a more temporary thing, but service is more of like a devotion. So it might be more of a responsibility versus helping maybe more out of kindness, and service is more out of like responsibility.
Yes, and that responsibility comes from where? What is the origin of the responsibility?
It would come from like the consciousness telling us to help, to
Hmm.
and like the role we play. So like if we're the daughter, the mother,
Exactly.
whatever.
So we have both material and spiritual nature, right? Spiritually, we're all souls, and our Sanatana Dharma or eternal religion is to act as a soul, right? To love God, to pray, to love all living entities and act for their benefit, right? So this is what the spirit soul does. And
Yeah.
on the material platform, we can be man, woman, we can have professions, right?
Yeah.
So within those professions and roles, we have responsibilities
Mm-hmm.
and personal and professional and social lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So performing those responsibilities means rendering service.
Yes.
And you were absolutely right that if we are in that position, actually, we are happy ourselves and we make others happy. But if we don't do that, it will cause a lot of problems and unhappiness. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Anything else?
Mm, like every living being is always like rendering service to each other, and like
Okay, so you've learned that everyone is rendering service to each other. It's not only human, right?
yeah,
I
animal.
would say not responsibility, but nature, right?
Yeah.
But all living entities are in service, naturally are in service to each other, right?
Yeah.
And human beings, we actually have a choice. While all living entities just live like that,
Yeah.
it's not a matter of choice, it's their existence. They cannot exist in a different way. The tree grows, it's the tree's life is to purify the air. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the living entities, they are in that service.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we need to get into it. We need to engage ourselves in order to be in that constitutional position and be eternally happy. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for your participation. It was a great pleasure to see you again. And I will be looking forward to continue our classes in 2 weeks.
Yes. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.